How's everybody doing tonight? Don't have the luxury of being at home tonight. Kind of staying out of sight. Little bit misunderstanding at the Dollar Tree. Joe knows more about it than I do. I'm just kind of staying out of the way, but to be honest with you, I had nothing to do with those missing Hot Wheels and Barbie dolls. Anyways, I wanted to correct something. I had misquoted a scripture in my last video when I was referring to when Peter said to Jesus, "To whom shall we go to?" I can't remember what scripture I had given you, but it was a wrong one. The actual scripture was John chapter 6, verses 68. Anyways, I guess this year's annual meeting, 2018, the Watchtower Society identified the King of the North in the last days, which of course we found out was the Russian Federation. Surprise, surprise. And the only reason they have identified them as the King of the North is because the Russian Federation has stomped a mud hole in the ass of Watchtower in recent years. When I first started studying, there was no King of the North. The King of the North was dormant at that time, if you remember, in the mid-90s. Up until that point, I believe it was the Soviet Union was identified as the King of the North in the time of the end. But unfortunately for them, the Soviet Union crumbled in '91, which left them with no King of the North. One of the first publications I started reading, other than the Bible Teach Book and all that garbage, was Pay Attention to Daniel's Prophecies. Now, they identified the King of the North and the King of the South throughout history. Now, in the final days, if you remember, the King of the South was, of course, the Anglo-American world powers. The King of the North, like I said, was dormant. Now, the last paragraph in the book, what did it say, if you remember? It says, "We don't know who the King of the North will be, and it wouldn't be wise to speculate." Which, okay, given it wouldn't be wise to speculate. However, if you remember another publication that came out around that era, I actually believe it was earlier, where in the book Revelations in its grand climax, they clearly identified the 8th king in Revelation. Okay, it's okay to... Oh God, I lost the word. It's okay to speculate. Sorry guys, I've been working all day. It's okay to speculate who the king of the 8th king would be in Revelation, but not the King of the North. In other words, they didn't have a clue. But let's clarify something to anybody with any type of critical thinking. The Bible, according to the Bible, there's one entity that goes after God's people in the time of the end. Now, according to Watchtower, it appears to be two. Now, if you're a Bible reader, it's obvious that there's one entity, that the King of the North in the book of Daniel and the 8th king in Revelation are the same entity. Now, we all know that in the Revelation, its grand climax, they identify the United Nations as being that 8th king, which makes sense. According to Watchtower teachings, this is supposed to be a worldwide attack on God's people. Now, to be that entity, it would have to be an entity that has access to virtually every country on the planet, which the United Nations does. As far as that King of the North, the Russian Federation does not have it. So it's obvious for anybody with a critical thinking mind that the 8th king in Revelation and the King of the North in the book of Daniel are the same entity. But apparently not according to Watchtower. Of course now, since everybody knows that Watchtower are butt buddies with the UN, they have in recent years changed their teachings basically they're teaching now that the 8th king is no longer the United Nations. Okay, since they're affiliated with the UN and everybody knows that, they had to kind of change that. Now, the 8th king are the nations of the world. But think about this, guys. If that were the case, how can an individual country forfeit their sovereignty to this 8th king when they are the 8th king? That to me makes no sense at all. The 8th king, more than likely, is the United Nations. The king of the north in the book of Daniel is also the United Nations. If anybody has followed politics in recent years, look at the push for globalism. What did our previous president do? He was attempting to forfeit the sovereignty of the United States over to the United Nations, as well as Germany and many other countries. Okay, we were talking to now, there's a war between the nationalists and the globalists. Now, what will happen when all these countries forfeit their sovereignty to the United Nations? They will give it all the teeth it needs. And then they will go on a rampage like nobody has ever seen before. To say that the king of the north is the Russian Federation was completely asinine. Okay, the Russian Federation does not have access to every country on this planet, where the United Nations, given that enough countries forfeit their sovereignty to them, would have access to every country. Jehovah's Witnesses, use your brains. Okay, look at your teachings in recent years. And this is the first time in several years that they've dared identify anything. But still, no dates, guys. Anyways, I just wanted to point this out. I'd love to hear your comments. And if you come across this video, hit that notification button. That'll let you know that I'm out here. And thanks a lot, guys, for watching. I will talk to you soon.